Hey, welcome back. Sorry, I got a phone call. It interrupted my video. My apologies. So I was just explaining pinning here. So when this naval unit comes here, and the same rules apply for land as well. There are two naval units here. You can see there's a red battleship and a blue cruiser. I happen to have 3 units, so I technically could, if I wanted to, break off one unit and move him to my location, but I have to pin 2 of my units to match their pinned units. So that's the advantage of going first, is if you do a move before somebody else does a move, you can get them pinned. And so same concept here. If Jason's planning on, what's a good example? Let's say that this guy's planning on attacking here, right? But I attack him first. I now have those units pinned, and any units he has above and beyond mine could still do the attack if he wants, but he's stuck staying in the territory. And it all depends on who moves first. That's what's going to determine that. The pinning rules are going to come up quite a lot. We'll discuss them more as they go. And just understand that the way transports work in this game, if you've played Axis and Allies, a unit can just go into the water and automatically become transports. Jason, his videos no longer exist, but he actually had a really nice explanation that he really doesn't like that rule. He actually prefers the way Axis and Ally does it, and I think some people agreed. But transports are automatically destroyed if they're ever alone with a enemy ship or plane. They get automatically destroyed, but transports can land anywhere after they're in the sea. So you can't ever go into the sea and then land. It's one action to go into the sea, it's another action to land. Now, the big important thing is transports can be pinned, and the count on the transports does not count. So if I'm in the same sea zone as these 3 ships, and Jason moves his 2 ships into here, he will have pinned me if I only had 2 ships. Now I'm pinned, and all the transports are pinned with it. But because I have a 3rd ship, which means I have more ships than Jason, my transports are not pinned, and I can keep moving them. It's a very important distinction. It actually came up in one of our previous playthroughs that we had to delete because we got other mistakes in there, but that's a very important thing for when you play. So I don't want to get into all the different examples or situations of pinning, but just understand that this movement phase is one of the most critical parts of the game. And as far as the turn order goes, it is oil bids, and we do oil bids, and whoever bids the most oil gets to go first. And even if you lose a bid, you still have to pay your oil. And technically, there's no such thing as losing a bid because it just means you're going 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, or whatever. China does not get any oil ever in the game, and they're not allowed to bid. So they're an automatic 0 every time. Okay, so I think that's everything. And Jason just stepped away, but I was getting ready to go and reveal our oil bids here.
What do you mean I'm here?
He's here. So what we like to do is when we start the oil bids, how did we do this last time?
We just didn't care.
We just didn't care. Okay. So do you want me to go first?
Yeah, sure.
All right, Italy's bidding 0.
Okay, makes sense.
Germany is bidding 0.
Makes sense.
And Japan's bidding 0.
Makes sense. Okay.
So Jason put them on as 1st, 2nd, 3rd.
And we got those. 2, 1 for Britain is 2, America's 1. And then China and Russia are just both 0.
All right, so Jason bid 2 oil for Britain, 1 for America, and then the rest is just going to be a random. So he's just shaking them in his hand, and then he's going to just drop one at a time.
Japan is 3rd.
So Japan goes 3rd. Yay, us.
Russia 4th.
And Russia.
Germany 5th.
Germany.
Italy, and then China.
It would have been nice for Germany to go before Russia, but that hurt us a little bit. But okay, so make sure you pay your oil if you haven't done that. So United Kingdom is spending 2. Now, what is the impact of that? If you want to peek ahead, and you can maybe even pause your screen, this is the cost of oil for the units. So you can see that from armor on down, you need quite a bit of oil to pay for your units, and this is your iron and your OSR costs. And that's for one unit. And okay, so let's move on here. United Kingdom is going to go first. So what they're saying is flip the embattled hotspots. This is we actually have an embattled hotspot. That's the Solomon Islands, but we already flipped it because we know there's going to be a battle there. But it is possible that we're going to roll our dice and not all the units get killed. In Axis and Allies, you kept rolling until one side won. That's not the way this game works. You just roll one time for as many dice as you were allowed to roll. And if both sides still exist, then that's what creates that embattled situation. So now they're going to flip back over because they pin each other. That's the one thing. You can't retreat from a battle in this game because you're pinned. So that is a hotspot, and it gets flipped over. Resolve movement in turn order. So we're going to start with Jason, and he's going to tell us what the United Kingdom is doing. They are going first, so I can understand why here, but let's go.
Okay. Mediterranean 3, I2, and then the 9th down there also I2.
All right, so he's moving a whole bunch of Navy to I2 and forming a mega Navy, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we got the 7th, A15.
So there he's pinning me exactly like I told you he might try to do, and he did.
Then we got these to there.
Oh.
13th there to here. There. And
I can help you. Just tell me what you're doing. You going along the rail?
Yeah.
Okay, one of the things you can do with movement, and it's written on the book here. Let me grab a book real quick. So the books that come with the game have a really nice explanation of how movement works. So whether you're moving by sea, moving by land, or air. So what Jason's doing right now is a railroad movement. And railroad movement requires no enemy spaces. So if he's trying to move from here to here and an enemy somehow is in the way, his whole movement action gets canceled. He can never enter a battle via railroad, but that was a very safe move for him, so he just moved 2 spaces instead of 1. Is that it for your movement?
Yeah.
All right, so United States would be next.
Okay,
So let's...
P19 to P10.
All right, so he retreated his ships there.
U1 to A2, U2 to A2.